Donald Trump's brain just doesn't work. Now, that's not to say that it ever actually did, but now more than ever, it's not just that his cognitive decline is on display, but it's undeniable. It's almost as if Donald Trump wants us to see just how much pudding is leaking out of his ears. And we really saw that today when Donald Trump was pressed on the instruction, the post that he made telling Pam Bondi to go after James Comey. And now Donald Trump doesn't seem to remember. It was a complete collapse, to put it honestly, in the White House today that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that question from Caitlin Collins that saw the Trump collapse, I want to start with another example of his cognitive decline, which just makes it so obvious.
Well, I had a great talk with the president of Brazil, who's a good man. I met him actually at the United Nations. I was going up to make a speech and I didn't have a teleprompter. I was walking up to my teleprompter. I said, I don't have a teleprompter. But just before that, I met with President Lula and I found him to be very good. I mean, we had a very good talk for about, 2 minutes. And then I went up to make the speech, and I was surprised to see, how would you like that one, Doug? I've got every leader in the world sitting out there. My teleprompter isn't on. You know why, Daniel? Because it was a rigged deal. But fortunately, I made a better speech than I would have if I read it off a teleprompter, which is pretty easy to do. So it was quite a day. That was a big day, but we met and we liked each other, and yeah, we had a great conversation. Yeah, we'll start doing business.
And are you considering traveling to Brazil for COP?
At some point.
Now, since the fateful day that was teleprompter gate, we now know that the real reason why Donald Trump didn't have his tech up and running was because of his own team. Yes, the incompetent idiots around our president didn't get to the UN early enough to set up his teleprompter. It is the responsibility of the staff, with the principal, with the world leader, to set up their teleprompter, to get everything running, and Donald Trump's staff just didn't do that. Sometimes I feel like they're going out of their way to sabotage him, or maybe he's just such a spectacular idiot himself, because we also learned that the escalator stops going up. Why? Because of Donald Trump's staff accidentally hitting the button. But no, he just wants to complain, he wants to whine, and it was a question not even about the teleprompter, but Donald Trump has this victim complex that forces him to bring up his weeks-old grievance no matter what, instead of focusing on the task at hand, which he clearly can't do.
But it's pretty close to that number, and the way you stop them is not to give away, not to announce that you're giving everybody free health care, free this and that, but what that does is it affects the American people, because the American people are unable to get good health care. Obamacare has been a wreck, as you know, and to do that, we have to keep it propped up and do the best you can with it. It's a mess. But a lot of things are going on in that. We talk about Hamas, then we talk about negotiations that we have going on right now. We have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of
and I'm talking about good things with regard to health care.
Are you speaking with Democratic leaders? What kind of negotiations?
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But we are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care.
Donald Trump isn't negotiating. Donald Trump doesn't want to negotiate. Donald Trump wants you to think that the government is broken. That is so key to his administration. We bring up this quote again and again, and I hope I don't bore y'all by repeating it, but Russ Vought said he wanted to traumatize federal workers, and that does not just stop with people who are actively employed by the government. Donald Trump needs you to feel despair. He needs you to feel like the government is broken, that there is nothing that you can do to change anything that you see in your life. He needs you to think that ultimately he is inevitable, that it was always work out for Donald Trump, so why even fight? Why file the lawsuit? Why go to the protest? Why do any of it? That is what Donald Trump wants you to think. But that is fundamentally not the feeling that you should have. That is not the case that Donald Trump is inevitable. It is not the case that Donald Trump is strong. It is not the case that Donald Trump always wins. In fact, he is losing now more than ever. It is why he has turned, amid a government shutdown that he can't fix, an economic crisis that he is to blame for, and an Epstein scandal that he can't get away from, to attacking his political opponents. But when he was asked about that, he struggled to compute because his brain is broken.
Mr. President,
arraigned on Wednesday, obviously after his indictment. Are you worried that your own statements calling for his prosecution could help him actually in his defense of this case?
No, I think he's a crooked guy. He's a dirty cop. Comey, I think he's a dirty cop. He's recognized by many people to be a dirty cop and dishonest guy. So all I have to do is, I mean, I have nothing to do with the case. I just say,
But you called
good luck.
Pam Bondi to prosecute him and oppose
No,
him.
I don't call anybody. You know what? I'm allowed to do that if I wanted to do that. But Comey's a crooked guy. He has been for years. And he got caught. Look, he lied. This is just a simple case. He totally lied. And then he confirmed the lie on, I guess, numerous occasions, or at least one occasion. He confirmed the lie. He said, that's what I said, and I stand by it. And, you know, I mean, the guy, and he didn't say, to the best of my knowledge. He didn't say, well, I don't remember. He made a very definitive statement and a very important statement concerning him. And he got caught in an outright lie. And that's why a group of people, it wasn't me that voted, they voted to indict him. But he's a crooked guy, in my opinion, and we'll find out. The court's going to determine that in a little while, I guess, yeah.
President, do you expect to announce harm relief?
We are seeing a full-blown mental collapse from Donald Trump. But I also want to point out, before we get into that collapse, of course, that we just saw and talk about it, the fact that he did the thing which you always see from Republicans. They are met with something that Trump has said or done, and they immediately jump to, well, he didn't say that. You're taking it out of context. It's like they don't understand what the word context means sometimes. Trump could say, I want to blow up Chicago, and they say, you're taking it out of context. What context do you want to blow up Chicago? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But Trump says, I didn't call Pam Bondi, which he did. That is reported. He also sent out the post saying, Pam, go after Comey, go after Obama, go after all of them. And then she did, after reporting suggested even she was hesitant, even Pam Bondi was hesitant. And then Donald Trump immediately goes, well, I didn't do that, but if I did, I'm allowed to. That is the way they move the goalpost. And the media allows them to so often. But we have to hold strong in calling out their bullshit. We have to hold strong in bringing attention to the fact that Donald Trump, one, doesn't know what he's talking about. It was a mental collapse on display there. But two, can't just get away with things. And he certainly can't get away with this Epstein scandal, which Caitlin Collins, doing a great job today, mind you, asked about right here.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President's term today, Mr. President.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
You haven't heard the name Ghislaine Maxwell in a while? What have you been paying attention to? That is the only thing that anyone has talked about. You have been talking about it behind the scenes, making sure that you can get your cover-up all squared away. And it's like, oh, lots of people ask you for pardons? Yeah, and you give them out to lots of people. That's part of the problem. And he's bringing it up like Diddy loves me. That is not a good thing to be saying right now. Are you going to wish him well? Oh, my God. But with all this happening, what is Donald Trump focused on? Of course, attacking J.B. Pritzker.
And I listened to the governor and the mayor get up and say how they have it under control. They don't. It's probably worse than almost any city in the world. You can go to Afghanistan. You can go to a lot of different places, and they probably marvel at how much crime we have. Then you go to Memphis, where we are right now. Now,
Donald Trump is so desperate to look tough. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind while you watch Donald Trump scream about Pritzker, about Newsom, about any governor standing up to him. When he says he's going after Portland, it's because he wants to look like a tough guy. And what's so interesting and devastating, really, about what Donald Trump wants out of his attack because it is an attack on Portland, is that the White House has said that this is a I win, you lose situation, right? Let's break this down. Donald Trump wants a scene in Portland, right? He wants to drum up all this anger. He wants a big protest in response so he can send his goons there and suppress people using their First Amendment rights. But if he does not get that response, which he so desperately wants, people on the streets, that his former Oath Keepers, former Proud Boys, just these basement-dwelling weirdos who want to go hit people, if he can't get them to try to suppress free speech, and there is no response because nothing's happening in Portland right now, Trump will take that on as a win and say, look, I made this rampant hellhole, I made it safe. He didn't. Democrats, I know you don't like to talk about crime, but please use this as an opportunity to point to the successes that you've had. Not just fighting crime, like you're Batman, but talk about making communities safer. Talk about the investments in after-school programs that make that happen. Talk about community involvement that makes that happen. For God's sake, like put together a fucking garden and people stay safer. It's not just about sending in your thugs. It's not all about a politics of subtraction. Community safety is fundamentally about caring about communities. Republicans don't do that. They want to strip communities of everything that makes them communities. They want this they want a homogeneous like Stephen Miller, city. And who wants that? I know Stephen Miller's wife doesn't even want that. Do you think she started a fucking podcast because she enjoyed being at home with him? No. Who wants to go home to Stephen Miller? I don't think Stephen Miller does. Neither does Mrs. Stephen Miller's mom. That's why Donald Trump is doing this. That's why we need more Democrats like J.B. Pritzker calling it out.
There was never an insurrection or an invasion on the ground that justified the deployment of the military to our American city. We stood out there on a beautiful day at River Point Park to make that point. Donald Trump's deranged depiction of Chicago as a hellhole, a war zone, and the worst and most dangerous city in the world was just complete BS. He clearly has decided to declare war on a great American city that has the lowest homicide rate in 60 years, in a state that has record employment and near record tourism. And he's done it for some unspoken reason.
Please, more Democrats sound like this. Call them out. Point out the bullshit. We need it now more than ever. We need the detours on this show talking about Stephen Miller and why he's so ugly now more than ever. And I'm going to keep doing them. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show another way, you can click right here or down below. Support the Substack. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.